What if I told you that one simple drink, costing just 1 penny, was responsible for the birth of modern science, the stock market, and the age of reason? This is not a story about coffee. This is a story about what happened when the world woke up. In 17th century Europe, people drank alcohol from morning to night, not because they wanted to, but because the water was deadly. Rivers were sewers, wells were contaminated, beer was safer than water. The entire civilization was running on a low-grade buzz. Then, sometime in the 1650s, a strange, dark liquid began appearing in English cities. It came from the Ottoman Empire. It tasted bitter, it kept you awake, and it cost just 1 penny to enter the house where it was served. These places became known as penny universities. For the price of a single coin, any man, poor or rich, merchant or philosopher, could walk in, sit down, and access the greatest minds of the age. No degree required, no class distinction at the door. For the first time in history, a generation woke up sober. Caffeine blocked the adenosine receptors in their brains, the chemical that makes you feel tired. Suddenly, people could think clearly, debate precisely, and create at a level they never could before. Inside a coffee house, every table had a purpose. Merchants sat at one table to discuss trade, scientists gathered at another, poets at a third. Information flowed between tables like electricity. A rumor at the merchant table became a law discussed by lawyers before the night was over. You know the story of Newton and the apple, but do you know where Newton spent his time between the discoveries? In coffee houses. He debated gravity, optics, and mathematics over cups of coffee with other members of what would become the Royal Society. The Royal Society, the world's oldest and most prestigious scientific organization, was not founded in a university. It grew out of conversations in London coffee houses. The greatest scientific institution in history had its roots in a room full of coffee and argument. In 1688, a man named Edward Lloyd opened a coffee house near the Thames. Merchants and ship captains gathered there to share information about voyages. Gradually, people began betting on whether ships would return safely. That coffee house became Lloyd's of London, the world's most famous insurance market. Jonathan's coffee house in London was where merchants gathered to trade shares in companies. The conversations that happened there, about prices, risk, and value, eventually became the London Stock Exchange. The modern financial world was literally built on coffee tables.
In Paris, coffee houses called cafés became the meeting grounds of revolutionaries. Voltaire reportedly drank 40 to 50 cups of coffee per day at Café de Procope. Rousseau, Diderot, the minds that ignited the French Revolution, all gathered there. The age of enlightenment was caffeinated. Before coffee houses, news traveled slowly, by word of mouth, by letter. It could take weeks for information to cross a city. Coffee houses changed that. Newspapers were pinned to walls. Pamphlets were passed hand to hand. For the first time, ordinary people had access to the same information as the powerful. In 1675, King Charles II of England tried to ban coffee houses. He called them places where idle and disaffected persons spread false rumors and scandalous reports against the government. He was not wrong, but he was too late. The public outcry was so great that the ban was reversed within 11 days. The magic of the coffee house was not just the caffeine. It was the collision of minds that would never otherwise meet. A ship captain sitting next to a mathematician, a printer next to a duke, an astronomer next to a tradesman. These accidental conversations produced ideas that changed history. Modern research confirms what those coffee house regulars discovered by accident. When diverse minds, people with different skills and knowledge, work on problems together, they consistently outperform even the most brilliant individual. Scientists call this collective intelligence. The 17th century called it Tuesday at the coffee house. But the coffee house had a shadow. Women were largely excluded. In England, women even organized a protest, the Women's Petition Against Coffee in 1674, arguing that coffee was making men useless at home. It is a reminder that even revolutionary spaces can carry the failures of their time. Coffee houses actually began in the Ottoman Empire, in Yemen, then Cairo, then Constantinople, long before they reached Europe. There, they were called caffè khane and served the same social purpose, men gathering to talk, play chess, and exchange news. Europe did not invent this, it borrowed it. Researchers today study what environments produce creative breakthroughs, and they keep finding the same thing: a moderate level of background noise, a mix of familiar and unfamiliar faces, and a loosely structured social space. The 17th century coffee house was, accidentally, the perfect creativity machine. Voltaire reportedly consumed between 40 and 50 cups of coffee per day. His doctor warned him it was slowly killing him. Voltaire replied, "If this is poison, it is a very slow one. I have been taking it for 85 years. Voltaire lived to the age of 83. He did not stop drinking coffee. Here is the science. Your brain constantly produces a chemical called adenosine. The longer you are awake, the more it builds up, and the sleepier you feel. Caffeine works by blocking adenosine receptors, pretending to be adenosine without triggering the sleepiness signal. The result, your brain stays sharp, alert, and ready to make connections."
By the late 18th century, the golden age of coffee houses began to fade. Private clubs replaced them for the wealthy. Factories replaced the streets for the working class. And something else replaced the democratic conversation of the coffee house: the newspaper, delivered quietly and individually to your home. Then, in the late 20th century, something remarkable happened. Starbucks, Costa, and thousands of independent cafes brought the coffee house back. But something was different. People were sitting alone, headphones in, eyes on screens. The tables were full, but the conversations were gone. Research shows that the rate of significant scientific breakthroughs is actually slowed in recent decades, even as we have more scientists, more data, and more computing power than ever before. Some researchers suggest the loss of spontaneous intellectual conversation may be part of the reason. We optimized for information. We forgot about collision. The Penny University taught us something that we keep forgetting. Your best ideas rarely come from sitting alone. They come from the collision, the accidental remark from someone in a different field, the question from someone who does not know the rules of your world, the challenge from someone who sees things differently. You do not need a coffee house. You need the conditions the coffee house created: a regular place, mixed company, no agenda, and caffeine. Studies show that even mild caffeine consumption before a group discussion increases the quality and quantity of ideas generated. The Penny University was not magic. It was a formula. One thing the 17th century got right by accident: they drank coffee in the afternoon and evening, exactly when adenosine built up peaks. Modern research suggests the optimal time for caffeine is 90 to 120 minutes after waking, not first thing in the morning. Your cortisol is already at its peak when you wake. Coffee before 10 a.m. may actually be wasted on you. The coffee house also accidentally created the ideal focus environment. Moderate ambient noise, around 70 decibels, has been shown to enhance creative thinking. Not silence, not loud music, the gentle buzz of other people thinking and talking. Your local cafe might actually be better for creative work than your silent office. Today, the most innovative companies in the world, Google, Pixar, Apple, design their offices to force accidental collisions between people in different departments. Pixar built their entire headquarters around a central atrium so that everyone, animators, engineers, executives, would cross paths multiple times a day. They were recreating the coffee house. They just did not call it that. A single drink, 1 penny to enter, no class distinction at the door. Minds from every corner of society sitting together, arguing, laughing, building on each other's ideas. From this simple ritual came the scientific method, the insurance industry, the stock market, and the philosophical foundation of modern democracy. Not bad for a cup of coffee. History does not repeat itself, but it rhymes. Every generation that changed the world found a place to gather, a space where ideas could collide, where a stranger's question could unlock a new universe. The coffee house gave the 17th century its revolution. The question for you is simple: where is yours?